We have breaking news. Let's get right to it.
Past 24 hours, we've seen 34 new cases of COVID-19 here in Utah.
Following breaking news out of Utah, a magnitude 5.7 earthquake hitting just after 7 a.m. local time, about 10 miles west of Salt Lake City.
We need 100 to 150,000 tests a day.
What's going on, y'all? It's your man Dre, the #1 DreRawka, and welcome back to Iso20 Podcast. I believe this is episode number 14, if I'm not mistaken. I think it is 14. Thank you for clicking play. Thank you for watching this if you're on YouTube. Shout out to the YouTube gang. And I appreciate everybody tuning in right now. We just finished up Memorial Day weekend, and it wasn't really too eventful. It was kind of like a up and down type of weekend here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And we had some rain, we had some cold. I almost felt like it was in the snow. I'm not gonna lie. I think snow was actually on the forecast, but I do not remember. We actually did not get snow where I live, but it was kind of chilly. And then actual Memorial Day was pretty sunny, bright, and just a gorgeous day. Me and the family just kind of kicked it. We didn't really do too much. Got the boys out. We got some fresh air, and yeah, it was a good time. It was a good weekend. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you had a good Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to all the servicemen and women out there that gave their lives for us to have our freedom. Thank you to anyone that may have supported a serviceman or woman. You guys also do need thank yous. And thank you to everyone that is no longer here. Just thank you for whatever you contributed to the world. Sometimes we forget how much is being contributed to our society until that shit is gone, right? We've seen it firsthand with COVID-19, right? We've seen COVID-19 come in and run amok, and we looked at our grocery store employees, we looked at our delivery drivers and stuff like that. I think with a new light, I think we had a newfound respect for these people. And so, yeah, just, I don't know if it coincides with Memorial Day, but I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you. Because sometimes we forget, and it takes a big event for us to really get that thanks. So yeah, thank you. Man, what else did I do this weekend? So this weekend I did weigh in on Saturday. Like I mentioned, Saturday is my weigh-in date. For those of you that don't know, I am on my weight loss journey. Anybody that has ever gone through this journey or has, loud ass train, right? But yeah, who has went through this journey of losing weight or maybe just getting healthier than what you were. It is not an overday type of thing. It's constant battle. And so yeah, I started my journey, but I restarted my journey in March of 20. So March, April, May. We're coming in on our third month almost, going into June. And I am down a total of 41 pounds. I lost 6 pounds last week. What I did differently last week was I'm lifting. I got this, let's see if I can get it. Oh, I got this little 25 pound weight. YouTube gang, you can see it. I got the 25 pound weight, and it's my only weight. Well, not only weight, but it's my only dumbbell, I guess you would say. And yeah, I just been lifting that over my head, just doing different curls, just getting creative with the weight that I have. And I do that daily. It's nothing too intense or anything like that. It's me trying to get creative with the weight that I have, with the tools that I have. And so yeah, that's something that I did last week that I was really consistent with, was lifting that, getting my heart rate up, and eating was a big one last week. I didn't eat a bunch of crap, which I haven't ate a bunch of crap anyway, but when I say a bunch of crap, I mean like bread and sugars and things like that. I really have not had any sugar. My bread intake last week was really low. So that's something I'm going to try to continue into this week and do this week. My fastings have been timely. My fastings last week were really good. I think I ate maybe one meal a day for 3 days out of the week, I believe. And a total of like 22-hour fasting while I was still getting my walks in and things like that. So I think that the combination of all of that did help me with losing that total of 6 pounds. I was really surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting to lose. I was expecting maybe a pound, if that. But surprisingly, I got that 6 pounds off, and so I kind of keep it within increments of 10, right? So I'm not gonna reveal my weight just yet, just because I want to get to a certain spot before I be like, yo, this is where I started at, as far as my weight, my target weight, my current weight. So once I get to the certain number, then I'm gonna be more free with that. And the only reason why is because I find it to be I don't want to set up an expectation or anything like that. This weight loss journey is a challenge, and I find that when I did do that, it hurt me. It hurt me with my motivation. It hurt me with being consistent and things of that sort. So I think holding off on the total weight and things like that and give you guys numbers, I think is going to be beneficial for me. Now, this journey is just that, right? It's a huge journey. It's something that I'm gonna continue to do. I'm gonna continue to battle with. I find a lot of joy seeing other people on their journey. So if you want to follow me on my journey, kind of getting, I don't want to say the daily. Well, yeah, you get the daily on my story, but I have an Instagram dedicated to my weight loss journey, and it's at weight down credit up. So normal spelling, weight down credit up. I post on there. I make posts every once in a while. I'm actually gonna get a post on today, just kind of documenting the last week for the six pounds that I lost. But yeah, if you are on that weight loss journey, definitely reach out to me. I would love to hear what you're doing. I would love to hear what challenges you face, what challenges you have overcome, because there's always challenges with this. Yeah. So yeah, please reach out to me. Let me know. I also went over to Target. So my man Angel from the other side of the Beehive and Justin, they're a podcast that you always hear me talk about frequent on my own podcast and on my vlogs and stuff. They most recently upgraded their recording interface for their podcast. And this is something, so I sat down with those guys maybe 8 months ago, and we chopped it up on a podcast that I did with Unrestricted. And I was giving them kind of, I don't want to say tips, but things that worked out for me, and just advice really with getting into this whole podcast thing. And the thing that they really wanted to do was to upgrade their interface and just upgrade their equipment all around and add video to their podcast. And so that was 7 months ago, right? So we're looking at 7 months later, and now they have officially upgraded their equipment. They officially got video up, and I took some time to go over there and help Angel out with learning the software, learning the camera, learning the hardware with the recording interface and everything like that. And their first episode of combining all of that was a success. And so while we were doing that, it's funny, he broke the micro SD card that goes into the interface. And so we had to go over to I was gonna say Starbucks. We went over to Target, and while we're in Target, like, we're looking around, and Angel's like, does everybody have masks on but us? And there was no signs on like the front of the store or whatever. There was no sign saying that you had to have masks or that it was required. So we just went in. We went in mask off, and there was, and we kind of got some looks, and I did notice some other people that didn't have a mask. It's a weird time, man. It's a weird time when you notice these kind of things, but I hope everybody is staying safe with this COVID-19 still running amok out there in the streets. But yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm proud of Angel. I'm proud of the other side of the beehive for making their I don't want to say dreams a reality and be super cliche with it, but that's literally what it is. They had a vision and went and they got it. And Angel has been putting in mad work. And you know, people out there that want something, I guess don't wait around for somebody to make something happen for you, right? Get out there, create, make your own, make what you want in a sense. Like if you want to make an album, right? If you're a recording artist and you want to make an album, make it. We're in a day and time and age right now where you can create and buy your own studio equipment. It might not be the best thing in the world, but it will give you something so you can build off of it, right? So get your equipment, record your album, and then put it out to the world. It's not hard. The limitations that you have, maybe you want to start doing music videos or something. You don't need the best camera out there, or you don't need the top of the line equipment to make your vision come true. And so I say that kind of to what Angel and Justin did with the other side of the beehive. Like, they seen what they wanted and now they're growing on it, and 7 months later now they're really doing it. Now it's that next step, you know. So salute to all the creators out there just creating new things and trying out what they want to try out and not being scared to. It's so vulnerable to throw out your art into the world, right? Into the internets and know that it's gonna go somewhere and you don't know how it's gonna be used. Somebody could chop this out and make an edit and make me look like a fool. But you know, I think that's part of that's just part of the gig. Like, me doing my podcast, I find joy in this. It gives me a chance to get my thoughts out there, and maybe somebody might share the same thoughts, or somebody might need to hear this. So for you limiting yourself, you could be hurting somebody else that needs to hear the things that you're saying, right? Yeah, sorry to go on a rant about that, but yeah, it's something that's dear to my heart. Like, it's really dear to my heart when I hear people put limitations on what they can do. And so when I see people not putting limitations out there, I want to amplify it. I want to yell it to the world and say, look at what this person's doing. Look how dope they are. You know, like, don't limit yourself. Because once you limit yourself, then that's when I feel like you just go on a downward spiral. But if you don't limit yourself, you're going to learn things. I've learned a lot on this journey. I've learned a lot on my weight loss journey. I've learned a lot as a father. I learned a lot as a husband, boyfriend. I've learned a lot as a business partner. I've learned a lot as, I already say friend. I've learned a lot. And so if I can give you guys who's listening, you ladies, whoever's listening, some insight to kind of what I've learned, and maybe you can implement it into your life. Maybe you're going through something similar, then it could help you from crashing and burning or hurting yourself or hurting somebody else, right? So don't limit yourself, and don't just take no for an answer on certain things. Like, obviously there's certain things that no means no, but if you get a door shut in your face, keep going, and don't take it personal. Just keep going, because eventually you're gonna get where you want to be, as long as you stay consistent and you stay true to yourself. I've seen so much. I'm gonna kind of take this and be personal about it real quick. When I first started doing my reaction videos, specifically my music video reactions, I did it just because I had fun with it, and I'm still having fun with it. But now it's gotten a whole lot easier, because just like I said, if I learn something new and if I learn something new and I see something dope, I want to tell the next person, right? Same thing with these video reactions. I heard a really dope record, or I seen a really dope video. This is my opportunity to share that with the world and be like, look at this dope art that this person did, and give my opinion on it. And it's made my job so much easier, seeing other people start to jump on board and really show a lot of love. Specifically the musical artists. Like, the musical artists have been reaching out to me like crazy and donating too. Like, let me see. I'm gonna shout this man out because he made a donation that he did not have to make, and I'm not gonna say the amount, but just know that he paid one of my bills with this. Caleb Winston made a nice donation on Venmo, and it's going right back into this, right? It's gonna pay for the studio that we go to, and things like that. So when you follow what you want to do and the things that you believe in and the things that you have fun with, I feel like as long as you stay consistent with that, things will get easier. Things will get and I don't mean easier as far as like, oh, you don't need to grind no more, but I mean easier in the fact that your workflow will be easier. In my example, it gets easier because now artists are reaching out to me. I don't have to go and dig through thousands of videos. I can just look in my DMs and be like, okay, this person reached out. Let me take a look at their video. Point, shoot, record. That's it. And so I feel like I'm helping them, but then at the same time they're helping me. And yeah, so don't put no limitations on you. Don't put no limitations on you. I was thinking about doing my my second surgery follow-up. So as I mentioned, and I forget what episode it was on the podcast, but I had surgery on May 7th. That was my first surgery for my back. And then I had my second surgery on May 30th or 31st. May 30th, I believe. It was a second surgery that had me in the hospital. Now, I was going to do my follow-up on this podcast, but I feel like we're already, 20 minutes in? And I want to jump into news and sports. So maybe I'll hold off on the second surgery follow-up for the next pod, and then we'll get into some news. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you again to everybody that has showed me love, has supported this podcast, has grown with this podcast, and everybody out there that has created their own podcast or own video content or whatever it is that you're creating. Maybe you're a chef. Salute to you for creating that new dish. Thank you. Okay, now that we got all that done, should we jump into the news? Let's do it. Here comes the news. All right. Do we jump? Some really messed up news. Some really, really messed up news. And when I say messed up, it's really terrifying. Rest in peace to Ashlyn Black, a Layton woman here in Utah locally. She was murdered after having a Tinder date. This guy, man, to think that you can't go on a blind date or meet somebody on the internet or anything like that. And when I say blind date, I say it in quotes, or quotations. It's really sick, man. There's a lot of people out there that don't find it comfortable to meet somebody the traditional way of, like, going to a bar or going to a coffee shop or anything like that. Now the traditional way is online dating. I have no idea. I've never online dated a day in my life. I miss that whole thing. So this is terrifying to know that you can't just simply create a profile, let people know a little bit about yourself, and then get to know them once you go on an official date. We got to figure this thing out, man. Nobody should be dying off of an internet date. I don't know if this is I don't know. How do you make sure that you're secure? How do you have security in dating somebody that you have no idea who they are, where they've been, or anything like that? This is on Tinder. I heard Tinder is a nasty one too. So rest in peace to that woman. And we'll see what happens with this dude. He's a psychopath. For you to kill somebody, what could have this lady done to make you want to murder her? I don't get it. There's some type of chemical imbalance or something when you feel like you have to kill somebody. This might sound bad, but sometimes when people are murdered, I can understand, right? So if you're attacking one of my family members, I understand if that person defends their family and they end up killing the person trying to hurt their family, right? I understand that. But to murder somebody over certain things like a date, right? Or being a woman or turning down somebody, things like that is crazy to me. And I know bullying is another one. Like, you see cases all the time where the bully has enough of it and they go and they kill the person that's been bullying them, right? Me personally, I don't think anybody can be bullied to the point of murdering the other person. I should say I don't think I can be bullied verbally. If it's physical, I'm being attacked at that point and I feel like I can react. But for me personally, I don't think I can be bullied to the point of no return, which is killing that person or taking that person's life. That's a whole nother level of something that I'm not ready to even think about. Like, damn. The mind of a killer. I'm sure there's documentaries and stuff like that out there, but man. And then remember back in like 2003, remember the pain Olympics? Remember when dudes were like chopping off their junk and things like that? Like, what's in your mind that makes you do that? Like, what's in your mind to be like, yo, I'm gonna win this challenge by chopping off my balls? That's wild. Yo, the internet used to be really wild back in the early 2000s, because it was like the taboo thing, and then like Al Qaeda and ISIS came around, and then like beheadings became normal. The cartel beheadings came normal on the internet, which is sad, man. It's really sad. All right, what else we got in the news? Oh man, good old Joe Biden. So Joe Biden was on the Breakfast Club, right? Specifically with Charlamagne. He had an interview, a Zoom interview, which I gotta agree with my man Angel. The Zoom, if you're gonna do the Zoom interviews, please make sure that you get the audio quality right, because as soon as I hear that Zoom quality, I check out. But for this one, I checked in. I was like, all right. Charlamagne has been talking about, he's been talking about Joe, right? He wanted Joe Biden on because he was the only politician that didn't make it up there. We seen Andrew Yang, we seen Elizabeth Warren, we seen Kamala Harris. We've seen all of these politicians go up there. We seen what's his name? The old man. Damn, man, why did it just slip my mind? It's gonna come to me. You guys know who I'm talking about. Damn, that's gonna bug me now. The one that everybody was going for. All the Democrats were like, yo, this is the dude, the old Bernie Sanders. Boom, see, it just took me a minute, but it got it. Bernie Sanders went up there. So Joe Biden, we've been waiting for Joe Biden. And rumor is that the party didn't want Joe Biden to go up there. Like, his folks didn't want Joe, they didn't want Joe to go up there because they're saying that Joe is really at the first stages of dementia and possibly Alzheimer's, which I don't know what the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia is, but there was rumors that they didn't want him to go up there because they know that Charlamagne's gonna ask him some serious questions. So they do the Zoom meeting, and it's a good dialogue. I think as far as Charlamagne asking the questions that I feel like a lot of people wanted to know. I personally, I'm not into politics. I will pay attention to certain things, but I'm not 100% jumping in depth. I know what's going on. I know what this person's running for and things like that. But there are certain people, like Andrew Yang really caught my attention with his universal based income idea or plan. His plan for technology, his plan for the next 5 or 4 years that he was talking about. really caught my attention. And so obviously we're down to Trump and Biden. So I know what Trump's about, right? Now let me get to know Biden a little bit. I know that he's the vice president, former vice president to Barack Obama. I know that Barack has no choice but to kind of stand by this man. But, you know, it's been nasty for Joe. You know, there's video out there of Joe touching little kids inappropriately, kissing them and stuff like that. And some people might say it's a generational thing, that this is just how old men kiss little kids and things like that. It's weird sometimes. But, and especially if it's not your own kid or your own grandkid. Like, I mean, I kiss my baby on the lips, but it's not like I'm going and kissing my homies. You know, I don't want to. See, somebody could cut that right there and be really nasty about it. But so yeah, I was interested in this one, so I turned it on, and Charlamagne and Joe's going back and forth, and Joe just seemed really angry. Joe seemed like he has been hearing what Charlamagne has been saying, and Joe wanted to come on and prove a point. That's what I got from it. He seemed really angry with his comebacks and the things that he was saying. And you know, when Charlamagne has said that, you know, I've been really critical of you in the past, and Joe was like, yeah, I know you have, right? Like, it's almost like a I got you now type of thing. And Charlamagne, he didn't budge, he didn't bend, he didn't fold. It was Treyway. He stood into it and asked the questions. And then, you know, we're a few minutes in, maybe about 10 minutes into the meeting. It might be longer. And then you hear his one of his people come in and is like, yo, we gotta go. I'm paraphrasing, but pretty much is like, yo, we gotta wrap it up. And then Charlamagne's like, no, like, you guys spend all this time with white media, but when it comes to black media, we're getting time frames, we're getting shut down before we get the questions that we want answered. No. So then they go to a break, and then they come back, and the same thing happens again. And Joe and Charlamagne really just I forget how he said it, but he pretty much was like, well, pretty much why should the black people buy into you? Because I'm looking for, and I'm speaking on Charlamagne's behalf, I'm looking for the interests of black people. And Joe Biden says, quote, if you're not black if you vote for Trump. You are not black if you vote for Trump. For me, that sounded like something that you would see on like an Instagram comment from somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about. It doesn't sound like something that should be said by a vice president, a former vice president, somebody that is potentially going to be the president of the United States. It doesn't sound better than what we currently are getting from a president. And yes, he's a human. I get it. He's a human. Humans say what they want and the way that they want it. But when you are, I feel like you need to be held to a different standard or a different level. You need to really choose your words wisely, I guess. And for you to say you're not black if you vote for Trump, what happens to all the voters that are voting for Trump that are black? Doesn't mean they're not black. It means that they're voting their interests. Whatever Trump has given those people is what is going to benefit them. And I don't hold nothing against them. You vote for your interests. If your interest is whatever the Republican Party, whatever Donald Trump is giving you right now, then hey, go vote for him. It doesn't mean you're not black. That's one thing that you can't take away from a person is their culture. You cannot tell me I'm not black because I do a certain thing or I say a certain thing. You know, that was a big thing in school when people would talk a certain way, maybe pronunciate a little bit better. You were whitewashed. You weren't black enough. I heard that a lot. Not me specifically, because you know me, I got that flavor. But and I've been guilty of this. I've been guilty of saying that somebody is whitewashed or somebody is Angel's gonna kill me. Somebody just got their black card. But that is one thing that you cannot take away from somebody is their culture, who they are, the way they look, right? You can't. Our blackness is within us. Like, you can't do that. I don't know if that's what he meant, but for you to say you're not black if you vote for Trump, elaborate on that, Biden. Why does it mean that we're black if we vote for you? Because we need to know what your agenda is for black people, and that's what Charlemagne was getting at. What is your agenda for the black people? Because you saying you're not black if you vote for Trump, if Trump comes out with a dope agenda for black people, I guarantee you there's gonna be a large majority of those people voting for Trump. Just took me back a little bit. Just took me back a little bit when he said that. And that's the way that it ended too. That was, and you could tell too, like his representatives were probably like, ooh, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? But hey, we'll see what happens. I'm not saying that that Joe is gonna just get the black vote. And when I say the black vote, the majority of black people will vote for him just because he's a Democrat, just because he was behind Barack Obama. But what I will say is, I think that interview is going to have a lot of people that weren't following. I think a lot of more people will tune in. I know I will. If I see a follow-up to it, I'm tuning in. If I see, the next sit down with Joe Biden from another reporter, certain media source, I'm gonna tune in just because I'm interested at this point. I'm interested to see how this is gonna shake. Oh man, big news, big podcast news. The man himself, Joe Rogan. He just signed a deal with Spotify. He's gonna be exclusively on Spotify, and there's more information coming out about this, but for right now, what I know is that Spotify signed a deal with Joe Rogan to lease his podcast. So Spotify doesn't own his podcast. They're going to be leasing his podcast and his his library, right? Over 1,000 podcasts that this man has done. He sat down with tons of people, everybody from comedians to scientists to actors to musicians, just worldly people from different cultures, different walks and ways of life. I highly suggest you checking out Joe Rogan if you have not, the Joe Rogan Experience. I first started listening to Joe back in 2012, 2013. And so that was around the same time that I got into the Breakfast Club. And it really inspired me to do my own podcast. And that's when I started my own podcast back in 2013, 2013, one of those two. And so to see a podcaster, somebody that I'm inspired by, to see them rumored to get over $100 million, which I think it's above that. I think the 100 million is the benchmark, because look at what Spotify has already done over the last 4 years. They've already dumped over $400 million into podcasting. They've dumped a bunch of money, and their thinking is, this was 4 years ago, guys. Like 4 years ago, they were like, we're gonna dump a bunch of money into podcasting, and it didn't boom right away, right? Yeah, they had the capability. They did have some podcasts on there from, I believe they signed a deal with Comedy Central, and I think they had a couple deals with ESPN, but it didn't blow. Pause. It did not go super humongous right away. And even still to this day, Spotify is not a huge platform for podcasters. I mean, it is, but it's not like ESPN for sports. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's not, if you go to ESPN, there's going to be sports, right? If you go to, Spotify, there's music and stuff, but it's not really, podcasts aren't really the front face for that yet. Now, 4 years ago, they had this vision, and it didn't pop off, but now they got Joe Rogan. Arguably the number one podcaster out there. Definitely the number one podcaster to be noticed as a podcaster. He signed the deal. They're leasing his what's the word? Not category. What's it? Catalog. His catalog. His podcast catalog. On top of that, they're going to be adding his videos on that. Now, Joe, he said that he will keep his Joe clips, his Joe Rogan Experience clips page on YouTube, which will still get a bunch of revenue and things like that. But as far as the whole episode playing through, that's going to be on Spotify, which a lot of you didn't know, but Spotify, they've had video on their platform. But the thing that Spotify is doing now is now they have revenue, right, with sales ads, right? So they're going to be running ads either on the screen or before the audio plays. They're going to be running ads. So that's a revenue stream right there for Spotify. Not only that, but now they're making their own content by getting the Joe Rogan Experience, right? And I honestly see Charlemagne and the Brilliant Idiots going that way too. Mark my words, the Brilliant Idiots will be having a Spotify deal. We already seen it with Joe Budden, right? With the Joe Budden podcast. So now they have sales ads, they have the content, right? So they're making the content, and then on top of that, they're the player. They're the actual device, right? They're the device to play these things. And they also bought Anchor. If I remember right, they bought Anchor, which Anchor is a podcast platform. So you create your podcast on Anchor and you can release it right onto Spotify. This is gonna be nuts. They covered all their bases. They planned all this stuff out strategically. There's no reason for you not to have Spotify now at this point. You can make money off of it. You can produce the content that you want to produce. You can release it right on the same platform. And on top of that, to say, yo, you don't have to go to YouTube to release your videos no more. You can do everything. It's a one-stop shop. It's a one-stop shop. And what you're gonna get with this, with Joe Rogan coming over there, I believe there's I don't know shit about the stock market, but what I read was that their stock market went up to like $1 billion once that announcement went out. This is huge, guys. And this isn't huge just for Joe Rogan. This is huge for people that are creating things. Joe has been doing it 10 plus years. I think it's a total of like 12 or 13 years or something like that. 11 or I think it's about 11 years he's been podcasting. So obviously this didn't happen overnight. The thing that I'm taking away from this Joe Rogan deal with Spotify is that Joe Rogan stayed consistent. He had great product, and he stuck to his guns. He even mentioned Apple tried to come at me. Apple tried to buy me out, but obviously the bag wasn't that much, or it had limitations. Spotify, I'm sure Spotify approached him before, but probably didn't make sense at that time. Now he's being flagged on YouTube, and he always talks about how YouTube is fucking him, right? Because that's money out of his pocket. If it gets demonetized, he's not getting money for that. And it could be something as small as hearing a song in the background or showing a clip on his video that he's talking about. It's in context. It makes total sense. So my big takeaways is that he was consistent. He stayed consistent. So he grew a fucking dope ass audience, right? Me being one of them. Once you have the people and you stay consistent, they're gonna flock to you, right? So don't bend, don't fold. Treyway, don't bend and don't fold. Like, stay consistent, stick to your guns. It might take 11 years, but something will come out of that as long as you stay consistent and you stay true to who you are. There are millions of people on this earth. There might be millions within your state and the surrounding states. The people that gravitate to your content, that gravitate to the things that you're saying, it might not be every episode, but somebody might hear this and be like, yo, you gotta listen to what Dre said about content and the Spotify deal. And then that person tunes into this one episode. That's fine. But people will gravitate to the things that they want to gravitate to, right? This podcast, this platform, the things that I'm doing is not for everybody. Not for everybody. It might be a one and done type of thing. But if I stay consistent, those one and dones add up. They add up. And the people that love what I'm doing, they'll stick around. And that's when we build that community. And then from there, that's when other people jump on and they see what I'm doing and they want to be a part of it. And I'm open to it. If you want to be a part of what I'm doing, I'm open to it. Same thing with Joe. Joe's open to it, but we have to talk about it. They talked about it. You're not going to own my stuff. You're not going to own my podcast, but I will lease it to you. I'll lease it to you for this amount of years, for this amount of money, because I'm already making $30 plus million a year off of ads, right? That's why Joe Rogan goes fucking 10 minutes on ads every episode before he starts. He gives us 10 minutes of ads, but we get 3 hours of dope content. Look at it. Look at it. Be inspired. Be motivated. This is dope. This is a huge opportunity for a lot of people. Now, obviously, we're not getting any pennies from that deal, right? But look at the bigger picture. Look at what he's done. Look at what he's done and where he's come and where he's going. Look at what Spotify did. Spotify planned this thing out. It didn't work the way they wanted to. Let's invest into this guy that is really doing something, right? They planned this out 4 years ago. 4 years ago, it didn't boom. Now it's booming. Everybody's talking about this deal. And it's because of the power of the people. If the people were not fucking with Joe Rogan, you think Spotify would give him money? You think Spotify would even do a deal with him? No, it's because of the power of the people. The people fuck with Joe Rogan. And it's because the people fuck with Joe Rogan. These companies they have to fuck with him. I love it. It is so inspiring. It is so motivating. And I don't know if any of that made sense, but it really makes me want to keep going. And like I said, not every episode I put out is going to be a home run. I'm not going to pull up from 30 every time. But what you are going to get is this conversation. And hopefully it sparks something in your mind to where you're like, damn, I didn't think about it that way. Or you're like, I was just thinking about that, right? Or whatever that looks like. Salute to Joe Rogan. Salute to all the podcasters out there. Really doing what they like to do and moving in the direction that they want to move in, and hopefully being observed while doing it. And even if you're not getting if you're not getting 50 downloads or 50 plays or 100 views or 300 subscribers off of what you're doing right now, stay consistent. It's gonna happen. It's gonna come. We just gotta stay consistent and stay true. Salute to Joe Rogan. Okay, should we jump into it? Here comes sports. All right. In sports news, I need to throw a huge RIP, rest in paradise, to longtime Utah Jazz head coach Jerry Sloan. Jerry Sloan was one of those coaches that other players wanted to play for, but it was tough for them because of the market, right? Not a lot of players wanted to play in Utah, but there was always a respect for Jerry Sloan and his coaching. He coached 2 great All-Stars, multiple Western Conference champions. Enough can't be said about this man. To be honest with you, I didn't even know he was a Bull. He was a Bull, and he was the Bull. Like, that's why they called him the Bull. Like, Jerry Sloan was that guy. He cared about his players. He had a unique way of coaching. He was aggressive. He had a mouth on him. Like, for the Utah people that were in the crowd, and I'm not gonna stereotype, but there are a lot of Mormons, like a lot of Latter-day Saints that are in the crowd at Jazz games, and for them to see a coach drop an F-bomb or get up off the bench and go and charge at a ref, like, that was a shock. That was like, what? And for Larry H. Miller to be like, yeah, that's the guy we want. We want that guy. And you could just see the way that he coached Karl Malone and John Stockton. He did a phenomenal job. it breaks my heart that the team that he coached just came in at an era when the Chicago Bulls were just that team. And most recently I seen a post, I believe it was from Jazz Nation, and it was Karl Malone sitting down, he's smoking his cigars in his little cigar shop. Not little cigar shop, his cigar shop, because it's not little. Pause. And they ask him, they ask him about Michael Jordan. What did you think about Michael? He's like, it was Michael. I didn't think I was playing Michael. I was playing the Bulls, right? And it hit me a certain way, because if the Bulls were not in the way of the Jazz would have won that championship twice. And Carl says, he's like, look, I made a mistake. You know, he caught me on my back end, right? Pause. When Mike slapped the ball out, game 6 of the NBA Finals. I believe it was 98. I think it was a 98 season. And you could just tell that Carl, he took accountability. He was like, yo, that was my fault. I should have watched my back end. And, you know, I wish that Jerry Sloan could have got that championship. I wish the Jazz could have got that championship. And this is coming from a Blazer fan. Like, Blazers are my 1, Jazz are my 2. Just because I grew up in Portland. I was raised in Portland. But, you know, I'm in Utah now. So it's like, and my dad has always been a Jazz fan. So, you know, growing up watching Jerry Sloan do his thing, you know, when he lost his wife and everything that the league did for him, it's a lot. But, you know, he lived a long life. He left his mark. I said we get a Jerry Sloan statue really soon. I think Jerry Sloan he'll be there in front of the Delta Center Energy Solutions. What is it now? Vivint, the arena here in Utah. He'll be there right between Stockton and Malone. I guarantee you he'll be getting that statue. We got UFC 250 going down June 6th. I'm really excited about this. I'm excited for any fight, but more specifically, we got the main event. It's a title fight, featherweight fight. Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer. I really like Felicia Spencer, but I think Nunes is just too much woman. Nunes is coming in on a 19-4 record. Felicia Spencer is at 8-1 record. 8-1. There's some experience there, right? There's some experience there, but I feel like Nunes is just, she's going to be too much. She has too much experience. I think she's going to be too explosive. But Felicia Spencer can take a punch. She can take a punch, and she's rough. She's gutter. Like, she's a go-getter. So it should be a good one. We have the co-main event. This is a middleweight fight. Charles Byrd versus Makai Patolo. I know Charles Byrd a lot. I don't really know Patolo too much. Not really a stat card, but I think it's a good card following up 3 amazing cards that we just had, 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to be watching UFC 250. I haven't got word if I'm going to be at the bar yet. I think that we're still waiting on the city and the people to get more comfortable with it. I have been going to my local bar, a bar named Sue, 8136 South State Street, if you're in the local Utah area. I've been going there once a week just to get a salad. I'm not spending a whole bunch of money, but we're having dinner there one night a week, and just in support of supporting local business. Because look, guys, if we don't support our local business, these business owners are gonna have to shut down. It's simple as that. If no money is coming in and you still have to pay for other things, those businesses will not be around. And as much as there's loans and stuff out there for local businesses, or I should say small businesses, if we can avoid that, let's do it. And the way that we do it is by supporting our local companies, supporting people that we care about and that we do business with. One of my really good friends from high school, he opened up a jiu-jitsu gym out there in Cache Valley. I believe Cache Valley, I believe what it's called. It's up north. But you know, obviously I'm not a jiu-jitsu guy, and I'm not gonna take a class, but the way that I can support is buying some merch. So I bought a hat, right? Small things like that. And it's things that we don't really think about. We go to Smith's for our meats, but why not just go to our local butcher, right? That money stays within our community for the most part, and I think that it helps. It helps the people that are within our community. It helps the people that are trying to make it being a small business. So if you have a local bar or a local restaurant or a local butcher shop, or a local artist or a local gym or whatever it is locally, just take your money there. Take your money there, because Smith's is gonna be fine. Smith's is gonna be fine, but the butcher shop down the street may not. They may not be fine. Okay. Olive Garden will be fine. They're not gonna go out of business. They'll be fine. They may go out of business, but they'll be fine. They're a big chain. They'll be fine. But if you go down to the Francisco's or Antonio's or Rapici's or whatever local Italian spot that you want to go to, or the deli, get your food from there. Try it out. Try it out for like a week or so. Just try it out. It might be better food. Might be better service, and you might see some locals that you can get to know. Okay, sorry to turn my sports segment into a local podcast a local segment. Jon Jones. So Jon Jones officially told Francis Ngannou, let's dance. Look, Jon Jones is my number one. Number two is Conor McGregor. John, for you to call out Francis Ngannou, I'm not doubting you. I'm not doubting your talents. I'm not doubting that you could win. I am just saying Francis Ngannou is a fucking monster. That is fucking terrifying. We seen what he just did to Rosenstruck. We seen what he did to Cain Velasquez. Oh my God. We seen what he did to Junior Dos Santos. Francis Ngannou is not a man to be taken lightly. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that Jon Jones is. But for your first heavyweight fight, your first UFC heavyweight fight, I should say, to go against a monster like the Predator, Francis Ngannou, that's nuts, bro. That's nuts. But I'm rooting for you. So if it is what it is, look, Francis Ngannou deserves the title shot. If Daniel Cormier ain't ready, or if Stipe ain't ready, Stipe needs to give up the title and then have Daniel Cormier and Francis Ngannou go at it. However that looks, I feel like Francis Ngannou should be fighting one of those two. Whether if that's for an interim belt or not even interim belt. I feel like if Stipe cannot defend that belt, strip him from it. Strip him from it. But I feel like Francis should get that rematch with Stipe. Ngannou has been working his ass off since that loss, and I think he'll be a great champ. If you have not listened to the Hot Boxing podcast with Mike Tyson, he sat down with Francis Ngannou, and you got to know him a little bit better. You got to know his struggle and the things that he has done to get to where he is today. And it goes back to believing in yourself and not giving up and staying consistent. Like, he did all of that, and now he's seeing success, and it's really dope to see. So, but yeah, I'm not mad at Francis Ngannou being a champion. Francis Ngannou definitely is probably in my top 5 for heavyweights. But Jon Jones, man, even with all the bullshit that he be doing, I gotta roll with my man Jon Jones if this fight actually happens. And if it does happen, UFC, you guys need to pay, because this is a super fight. This is a fight that will go down in history. I hope it's not a boring one. I could see it being a boring one. I could see Jon Jones staying back. He's going to have to stay his distance. He's going to utilize his kicks. Francis Ngannou is going to apply the pressure. He's going to apply some kicks as well. But we'll see. I think that these guys need to be paid, though. It's a super fight. They deserve the money. Okay. I think that's it. I think we're good on this pod. Again, go on to allrock.com for all of my content. I just released a bunch of new reaction videos. I'm doing a new thing where I'm doing Throwback Thursday, so you'll see I'm reacting to older videos. Like I just did Ice Cube in honor of his 30-year anniversary for America's Most Wanted, the album. So I did a reaction video on Who's the Mac, and it's been decades since I've watched Who's the Mac, right? And I didn't even realize that DJ Pooh was in that video. He was the star in that video. So yeah, that's something to check out, the Throwback Thursdays for reaction videos. I have other reaction videos up there. Shout out to K the Dog, actually, for the last donation you did. I really appreciate that. Thank you to John. Thank you to Brandon. Thank you to who else? Erica and Trinity. Thank you all for your donations. I really appreciate it. If you are somebody that wants to donate to the content that I'm putting out, I have the donations tab all on the website, allrock.com. That's ALLRAWK.com. Anything helps. Everything gets put back into this. It helps me pay studio rent and all that good stuff too. So if you want to support, I'm definitely accepting donations. And then maybe you don't have money to donate. If you don't want to donate with money, or you just can't, give this video a share, or give this this podcast a share. Review, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps, and it really supports me. So be sure to do that. Is there anything else? No, I think that's about it. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you have the day that you deserve, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.